anyway, all the money in my space to work with radio stations was trying to, they had the streaming content. They were trying to repurpose over the air content with streaming content because they believed that, people from cities that they grew up in wanted to listen to the radio station in that community, or that it could allow them to syndicate talk show hosts into different areas where they weren't on the air, but they could be online, or you could listen to your alumni college football or basketball or whatever. This was the big race. And so they were spending tens of millions of dollars. And at that time, they didn't have a standard for the streaming technology. So the decoding had to match, and there was no standard. So, every company was fighting to be that standard. I don't know if you remember that time. I think, yeah. So everyone had their own standard. And Mark Cuban's the only one that actually made money on that deal. Everybody else lost tons of money. Anyway, so these funds were coming together, and they were bringing the top of every industry. So we had the market share for radio. There was another one for television and another one for newspaper, and they eventually acquired us. At that time, I did not want to sell, but my investors who gave us the money to buy back, these are the same investors that gave us the money to start it when we sold it for equity in a company that ended up not going public. They had a stock market crash in Asia, and they were margined. Their businesses were all margined, and so they were coming in and taking their homes and stuff. And so they asked me to sell. And so we sold, and they made a tidy profit, and that led into the next business that we ended up selling to Google. But we did very well. But the thing is radio. The biggest thing that I learned in that one was the value of relationships. And the radio industry is a good old boy network, and it's all relationships. These guys are second, third generation. These guys are all in the back room smoking their cigars and drinking their scotch and their brandy, and all the biggest deals were being done in that way. And I mean, when I say second, third generation, I mean, Clear Channel was the father started it, and then the son was the president, and the other son was the CFO. And I mean, Intercom's the same way, all these big groups. And a lot of my competitors in that radio space had similar relationships. Well, besides creating this pain of disconnect where nobody, they were afraid, I disproportionately brought so many services together under one connection that if they were to lose me, they would have to replace me with 5 other vendors. So we had a high pain of disconnect there. We had very strong relationships. And when that company bought us, I remember telling them, if you replace me, because they brought a GE guy in, with some PhD in psychology to run the company. And I told them, I go, guys, in this industry, I know all the CEOs of the major radio groups, and they know me, and I know their kids' names. I know their favorite cigar. I know their favorite wine. I know their wives' names. I know the college they went to. I mean, these are relationships, and we're very entrepreneurial, very personable. If you bring some corporate guy in here, you're just going to open up this huge opportunity for the competition to come in and just kill it. And they did. At the time that I sold in the business, we were doing $32 million a year in revenue, and they had it down to $2 million in 2 years.
Let's do a webinar with that guy. Wow.